Peace and blessings is real. First and foremost, I want to take this time and give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh through his only begotten Son, Yahushua, for allowing this word to come out. And I hope you sincere brothers and sisters is edified by this word. And the name of the lesson is called Liquor, Drugs, and Guns, were put in the inner city areas for Jake to self-destruct. Let me say it again, man. Liquor stores, guns, and drugs were put in the poverty-driven areas for Jake to self-destruct. When I say Jake, I'm talking strictly the Judites, who the world ignorantly call so-called blacks. In a time that we're living in, with all the tragedies, with all the detriment to Jake that has happened, we ultimately understand that through the curses of Deuteronomy 28. So it's no surprise that Elvis and company created these liquor stores, drugs, and guns in the so-called black neighborhoods. And they put them there for one reason and one reason only, and one reason only, I should say. And that's for Jake to self-destruct. It's the unspoken, subliminal self-destruction of Jake. And people are clueless to this blatant agenda. People are clueless to the blatant oversaturated, the blatant, overpopulated liquor stores in our neighborhoods. Overpopulated drug dealers, drugs in particular, in the ghetto, and guns being easily accessible. You see. Now, when it speaks about self-destruct, it's a behavior that causes serious harm to oneself, or that same serious behavior can cause you to be killed. And that's exactly what we got going on in the inner city poverty areas, aka ghettos of America, pertaining to so-called black folks who we know are the people of brown color, who is the Judites, tribe of Judah, and particularly who the world ignorantly call so-called black folks. You see? And when you self-destruct, man, there's various different behaviors that you demonstrate. And three of the behaviors that I'm going to highlight is behaviors I've already covered in the title of this video. One of those behaviors, one of the self-destruct behaviors, is drinking alcohol. So with all these liquor stores being readily accessible, it's there for a reason. Because like I said, the agenda is for Jake to self-destruct. So when you can go 3 or 4 blocks any direction from one liquor store to another, one of the things that you're going to do as a behavior of self-destruct is you're going to drink alcohol. And you ain't going to drink a little bit, you're going to drink a lot of bit. Yeah, a lot of bit, aka a lot. You're going to be in a drunken state, intoxication state, you dig? And then when you go into the inner city, you see this all the time. People just never sober. They always drunk, man. Trying to drink their pain and misery away, you see? Another self-destruct behavior in the ghetto is the using and abusing of drugs. You got narcotics. You also have cocaine, heroin, meth, the whole nine. It's readily accessible in the ghetto. You got our own people that's peddling poison to our own people. And then you got Elvis in them bringing the drugs in for Jake to sell to his own people, which is another sign of self-destruct, man. Cold-blooded, right? And then another example or another behavior of self-destruction is becoming violent towards one another by way of gun, black on black crime, aka homicide. You know, these are all self-destruct behaviors that coincide with the agenda of liquor stores, drugs, and guns being flooded in our neighborhoods, man. And another thing about another self-destruct behavior would be suicide. You know, because you go through so much and you're dealing with so much, man, you resort to killing yourself, man. It's just amazing to me that people see this going on and no one really says nothing about it, man. We're going to kick this word off with 4 scriptures, man, and we're going to close it out. First scripture I want to touch on is in that Job, man. Job 36:12 to be exact. And I'm going to get that, man. Bear with me. Job 36:12 is going to be the scripture we're going to come out with. I don't have it locked and loaded, so just bear with me, man. Job chapter 36, verse 12, and it's going to speak about guns, okay, because that's one of the agendas, that's one of the things they have used for Jake to self-destruct is guns. And in Job 36:12, it says, but if they obey not, they shall perish by the sword, and they shall die without knowledge. And that's what's happening right now. Jake is disobedient when it comes to the laws of Yahweh through his only begotten son, Yahushua. And guess what? They're going to perish by the sword. They're going to perish by the gun. And they're going to die without knowledge. That's exactly what you got going on right now with Jake. Jake in the hood, okay? And guess what? Jake is so gone, man. Obedience don't even exist to him, man. He's a blatant lawbreaker of Yahweh through his only begotten son, Yahushua, because all the many churches in the neighborhood ain't teaching them who he need to pray to, who he need to look up to. These overran, overpopulated churches in the hood, they're there as a mock, man. So you got all these people in the ghetto. Okay, they're gonna perish by the sword. They're gonna perish by the gun. Okay, and they're gonna die without knowledge, and that's 2/3 of our people, man, dying by the gun with no knowledge, man. And in any inner city hood, what's the number one crime? Black on black crime, aka homicide, man. One of the self-destruct behaviors, Jake becoming violent towards one another, man. And there it is right there in Job 36:12, speaking of the gun violence. And at the same time, not having no type of knowledge, man. Knowledge is power, man. And Elvis know that. So he put all the churches in the ghetto just to mock you. But you listening to the real church. You listening to the real men, the real servants of Yahweh through his only begotten son, Yahushua, that's going to tell you the butt-naked truth and not something to tickle your damn ears, man. Excuse my French, man. What's the name of the word? Liquor stores, gun and drugs, okay, are put in the poverty-driven areas for Jake to self-destruct, man. Yeah, cold-blooded, man. Proverbs 31:6, man, is going to be the next word, and it's going to deal with, matter of fact, let me just bring that out, man. Proverbs 31:6, and it reads, give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine unto those that be of heavy hearts, man. Those of bitter hearts, man. It says give strong drink, aka give alcohol unto him that's ready to perish, those that are dying. And in the inner city ghettos of America, man, Jake is dying spiritually. He's dying mentally. He's dying emotionally. He's dying physically. So what's the remedy? Alcohol, man. Drinking alcohol, getting intoxicated, being drunk. Okay, again, drinking his pain and drinking his blues away, man. Yeah, in verse 7 and Proverbs 31, it tells you, let him drink and forget his poverty and remember his misery no more. And that's the antidote for Jake. Abuse himself for alcohol, man. Forget his poverty. Forget that he's broke. Forget that he's in the ghetto living in misery. It says, and remember his misery no more. So that's what Jake do, man. That's why that liquor store is right there. That's your medicine, man. But really, the liquor store is there to allow you to self-destruct, man. Cold-blooded, man. Cold-blooded. We're going to pull out 2 more scriptures, man. We're going to close this word out. We're going to come to you in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13, man. And it says, there have no temptation taking you but such as in common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it. You see that? It says there have no temptation taking you. So a lot of us, due to the temptations and the trials and the tribulations of hard times and poverty, what do we turn to? Drugs, using and abusing drugs, man. The drugs you see on the screen. But the Lord says, have no temptation taking you, but such as in common to man. The Lord is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted, man. So if you ain't trying to seek the Lord and you ain't serving the Lord, man, guess what? You're going to be tempted to get all type of high. Why? Because that's your medicine. That's your pain medicine. You dig? When your real pain medicine is these scriptures, man. But like I said, the using and abusing of the drugs is self-destruction for Jake, man. Cold-blooded, man. Again, what's the name of the lesson? Liquor stores, drugs, and guns are put in the inner city area for Jake to self-destruct, man. And we got one more word. We're going to come out in that Romans. I want to say Romans 13 and 13. So bear with me, man. And we're going to get ready to close this thing out, man. Like I said, man, as we recap this word, it's not a coincidence you got all the liquor stores in the ghetto. It's not a coincidence you got the drugs in the ghetto. It's not a coincidence you got all these guns in the ghetto. You see? It says in Romans 13:13, let us walk honestly as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, not in chambering and wantonness, not in strife and envy. You see that? We are to walk properly. But see, when your neighborhood is flooded with liquor stores, when your neighborhood is flooded with guns, when your neighborhood is flooded with drugs, how in the world you going to walk honestly? How in the world you going to walk properly? You're going to be all day rioting and in drunkenness. That's if you can drive down any neighborhood, ghettos of America, and you're going to see rioting, drunkenness, people out here high noon drunk, ass naked drunk, man. It says not chambering and wantonness. You got the women out here with wanton eyes. You got the women that's strung out on dope, strung out on alcohol, man. It says not in strife and in envy. That's exactly what Jake do. Once Jake get full of drugs, once Jake get full of alcohol, once Jake get his hand on the pistol, guess what? It's strife and envy, man. It's utterly ridiculous, man. Nobody pays attention to how all these things are put in the inner city for Jake to self-destruct, man. Let me read that Romans 13:13 again. It says, let us walk honestly as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, not in chambering and wantonness, not in strife and envying, man. And all of that is what Jake do when he's under the influence of drinking alcohol, when he's under the influence of using and abusing drugs, when he's under the influence of becoming violent towards others, when he's under the influence of being suicidal minded. This is what you got. I mean, dude, I ain't got nothing else for you, man. I mean, like I said, man, liquor stores, guns and drugs put in the poverty-driven area for Jake to self-destruct, man. You don't see this in the so-called white neighborhood. You don't see this in Elvis' neighborhood. I mean, you got to go miles and miles from one liquor store to another. You definitely ain't going to see no guns being peddled in Elvis' neighborhood. And as far as drinking alcohol, they go to the bar, get shit-faced, or they'll go to the store, get a whole bunch of liquor, and go home and get shit-faced. Not Jake. Jake go to the liquor store and get banged right outside the damn liquor store, man. I mean, it's a blatant mock. Think about it, man. You got a liquor store, and then you got a damn chicken joint right next door to it. Now tell me that ain't a mock for Jake. So listen, man. I hope you sincere brothers and sisters was edified by this word. We give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh through His only begotten Son, Yahushua, for allowing this word to come out, man. Shalom.